Falling in love is easy. Staying in love, now that's a choice we get to make every single day. And for those of us who've been through heartbreak or been through a divorce, the idea of choosing to love again can feel very risky, but also be very scary.
Right, because sometimes choosing love feels like having to share your fries, and you know how much we love our fries, right? And then there's those other days it's the best decisions you've ever made.
So, today we're going to break down what daily recommitment really looks like and give you some practical ways to live it out loud.
Exactly.
Welcome to Saying Yes Again.
A podcast about second chances, real love, and opening your heart after heartbreak.
We're your hosts, Dr. Lisa,
And Tony.
a midlife couple who found love after divorce. And now we're here to share our story.
And to remind you that it's never too late to say yes again.
So put on your headphones and listen closely because your next yes could be the one that changes everything. Welcome back to Saying Yes Again, the podcast where we talk about rediscovering yourself, rebuilding after divorce, and learning how to love again. So I'm Dr. Lisa.
And I'm Tony. I'm the guy who's still learning how to say yes again. And sometimes that means doing the laundry, cooking, folding the clothes, etc. Right?
Yes, yes. And you do a good job of it, I might add.
Well,
I
thank
might
you.
add.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're going to get right into it and talk about what it really means to choose each other every day because love isn't a one-time event.
No,
It's more than just going to the altar. It's more than about that wedding day. It's a daily decision. So do you remember our wedding day, honey?
I do very vividly.
Mm.
June 29th, 2024.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
It was we had a great time. It was a great wedding. I wouldn't call it a fairy tale, but it was really nice. And
Let's do it.
I know. And leading up to it, obviously, all the joy that goes into it, the flutters, the butterflies,
Yeah.
everything. And all that is wonderful. And I think for most people, they live for that moment, and we did too.
Yeah.
But then we have to remember that there's life after that moment at the altar.
Reality begins to set in
Right. There's
thereafter.
life after that wedding
Yes.
day.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and like we're talking about today, it's a daily decision to choose each other every single day.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
So, most people who have been through divorce often think if I just find the right person, it should just work, right? Just show me that right person. And first of all, we have to even define what is even the right person, right? And we talked about in our previous episodes, like in the non negotiable episode, and what women want and what men want, to try to help, I think, our listeners to sort of think about what are some of the things that's important to them, right? In
Yes.
that
Yeah.
person.
Your criteria, so to speak. But we also mentioned being flexible with regard to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reality is that, love isn't just a one time yes, like we mentioned, it's a series of daily small choices, right? That we have
Def-
to make.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And love, like healing, is a journey. It's not a destination, right? It's something that we, kind of get to explore and look at and do differently every day.
Yes, it is definitely a journey. But
Yeah,
as long as you guys are motivated to be flexible, it can be a pleasurable journey. It's
absolutely.
been that for you and I,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So when we talk about choosing love, sometimes we have to maybe hold back a snarky comment or we might have to give each other grace. Don't look at me like that.
Hold back a snarky
Hold
comment.
back a snarky comment, or we may have to, sometimes let something slide,
Yeah.
right?
Slide,
So,
baby, slide.
so tell us about a moment maybe for you when you had to kind of like choose love, or how we talk about like choosing grace, or let
Using
something
grace.
slide.
Oh, yes. I remember about 2 months ago, right? I was actually getting ready to take a shower or whatever. And once I was finished I noticed how cold it was. It was just abnormally cold. Now it was about 80, 85 degrees outside, but inside it felt like it was minus 40.
Right? Like
It's
40.
oh, it was extremely cold. I mean, goosebumps, everything. So I go into the bedroom to talk to Lisa
Here we go.
and kind of figure out what's going on because while it was happening, I didn't quite know what was going on. And she was all nestled in the bed, watching, caressing her laptop, working as studiously as she usually does. And she was just quite in a comfortable moment there. And I said, "Babe," I said, "aren't you cold?" She's like, "No, I mean, I feel." So I didn't want to really, destroy her moment. So I went back into the restroom and I put on two house coats, scarf, hat. I was ready to put on a gas
He's
mask, everything.
exaggerating.
I wanted to exaggerate the fact that it was abnormally cold in the house without being, negative about it. And I think that it really got through to you that it was extremely cold. And so maybe 45 minutes later, she casually said, "Well, you can turn up the temperature if you like to," which meant that she really didn't want me to do that, right?
It's comfortable. I was comfortable. But you could have been, you could have approached it a different way. I appreciate the fact that you were trying to be a little gentle about it, but obviously putting on all that stuff, you was trying to send a message.
Trying to be diplomatic.
Anyway,
Diplomatic.
so let's talk about what kind of saying yes again really
What
means,
it looks
right?
like.
What it looks like, because we know that, if we go through the process of, again, heartbreak or divorce, and we kind of choose to want to open up our hearts again to say yes again, that it means that we have to show up differently, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to show up in that, positive emotional space, mental space, physical space for that person or that relationship that we've chosen.
Yeah, yeah. And to give you an example, babe, I remember you on a business meeting and you had called me, and you weren't really like, I don't know, I don't want to say at the top of your game. And I assessed that. I knew you had all the ingredients or whatever. And I immediately gave you that reinforcement that you needed. I'm like, you deserve to be where you are amongst those that you are amongst. So let's go, wet our faces and come back, kicking and scratching. And you
Mhm,
did,
mm.
you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we can be hard on ourselves, and I know
Yes.
sometimes I can be hard on
Yeah.
myself. So, having someone to kind of remind you, right, how fierce and powerful you are is a
Yes.
good thing. Yeah,
Right.
I love it. So we also need to remember that we have to show up, choosing patience a lot of times.
Yes.
We just talked about, the episode, the episode with the cold room, and although that frustrated you, you chose to remain patient,
Yes. I
right,
did.
and address it in a way that kind of didn't shake things up, or
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
lead to a blow up.
I think that's an awesome thing about our marriage because I've noticed how we both have been intentional about being patient and not so quickly getting frustrated, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
so
Patience is very important.
yeah.
And we're both learning that every day. I think we're doing a great job of it though, but we're learning. We're still learning.
Yeah.
I think another way too, when we say saying yes, what that really means is it means also choosing communication over shutting down,
Oh, that is
right?
major. That is
Yeah.
super major.
Because sometimes, I mean, as relationships do, you're not going to agree on everything, right? You're going to be some things that you disagree about. There are going to even be some arguments sometimes. But you have to choose to want to communicate through that and try to resolve, right? Or at least talk about it. You can agree to disagree, but not to really shut down and walk away or turn off, right?
You've been major in that regard because you had to tastefully reprimand me on several occasions. And I think you have finally got me into form, you know? So, I mean, I needed that. And that's what marriage is. That's what saying yes is. Yes is. When your mate sees that you need to
Hmm.
be molded or
Redirected.
redirected. There you go. See what I mean? So.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's important. So choosing patience, choosing communication, over shutting down. And then also, I think it's also important that we choose to make space. And I think we do this very well as also choose to make space for fun, for romance, and also for friendship.
Now, I think that's really important because I see some of my friends, they get entangled into the monotony of the relationship or the marriage. And then once you get to that point, things start going downhill. And you and I have been real intentional about that. In
Mhm,
fact, when we met, we intentionally dated for maybe 4 or 5 months, just taking dates and having fun, that sort
mhm.
of thing,
Yeah,
building our friendship.
yeah.
And even now, we've maintained that. So I think
Mhm.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, we still date, which I love. I love our date nights.
Yes, I do too. She throws the best in. Oh man.
But again, that's something that you have to choose to do, right? You have to really, choose each other every day. And that doesn't mean you have to go on a date every day, but you do. You have to choose each other every day. What way can I show up, as my best self? Which way can I show up and make sure that we're having fun, that the romance is still alive, and also that we're still remaining friends at the end of the day.
One of the other things you have to do, I'm just gonna let you guys know in on a little secret. When she's telling one of those off the cuff stories and you've heard it like a million times, you have to not interrupt, not go against the grain, and just listen, right? Repeatedly.
Uh,
So that's something I had to I had to
yeah.
I had to get a hold on as well, babe. So
I think it's one of the things that we talked about earlier that is important for women in a relationship, right? Is for sometimes men to just listen and not try to fix it.
I try to fix it.
Exactly.
Don't get on YouTube.
Don't So let's give our listeners some practical tools now, because we like to do that in our
Oh,
podcast, right? We
definitely.
like to always
Definitely.
leave, the listeners with some practical tools that you can take away, things you can start, implementing within your
Hmm.
relationship or in your dating journey.
Yeah.
So, three practical ways that listeners can start to practice the saying yes again, right? Saying yes again daily. So, first is affirmations,
Mm.
right?
You look good today, baby.
Um,
I absolutely love your blue shirt and the earrings. Wow. Aren't those nice?
Thank you, honey. I
Yes.
chose this color because, I want to match.
Mm. And the
Hmm.
rich lipstick is just poignant on you.
Thank you.
How did I do?
You do wonderful. It's so crazy. But affirmations, affirmations to your partner. So a text, a compliment,
Mhm.
a smile, a thank you, right?
Yes.
Goes a long, long way,
Yeah.
right? I know some things that you do in addition to what you just did.
Okay.
Sometimes you would leave me little notes. One time you actually left me a whole poem on the back
Of a bank
of a
statement
bank statement.
in green marker. When that moment comes, when that thought comes, you just have to go with it. So it was on the back of a bank statement in a green marker. And I just saw in the office where you still have
I
that
still
poem.
have it. I do. I still have it.
Yeah. That was a magical moment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So another practical takeaway is, so we mentioned affirmations. Another
Hmm.
practical takeaway is to make sure that you are intentionally checking in, right? So I know that, sometimes I'll send you a text, how's your day going? Sometimes you'll send me a
Love
text,
that.
what you up to, right? And it just kind of makes me smile when I receive those messages,
Yeah.
that you're kind of checking in and that you're really concerned about kinda what's going on with my day.
Yeah. I'm checking on my baby. I'm checking on your whereabouts. That's right.
My whereabouts. He's so
It's
crazy.
my duty.
And I think it's also important that that check-in also be done as a couple, right? So,
Yes. Yes.
how are we doing? Are we okay?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Is there anything that we need to add or let go of, right?
Yeah.
So, checking in as a couple is also very important.
It can negate the possibility of things fermenting, or growing or whatever. You
Exactly.
might think everything is fine,
Yeah.
and it's not. And
Yeah.
had you had that moment where you guys were checking in, you would have been able to kind of rectify things before they escalate. So
Absolutely.
that's a good point.
Yeah. So just decide, your check-in's going to be daily, weekly, what does that look like in the morning when you're, winding down at night?
Yes.
So definitely check-ins. And then the last is make sure that you every day choose grace, right? Because everybody's showing up, I think, to the best of their ability,
Mhm.
right? So we need to give people grace. Not everyone's going to be perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to say things sometimes that may not, sound so great or come across so great. So just give each other grace. Don't keep score about who's doing more than, what.
Exactly.
And also just sometimes you have to just let the small stuff kind of slide. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Right. So when I leave my dingy socks in the middle of the floor, do I get a pass? Is that what you're saying, honey?
You get a pass every time, but you may get a pass sometimes,
Okay, periodically.
periodically.
All right.
Yeah. But sometimes I was like, "Oh, he just had a hard day."
Duly noted.
So, yeah, so just think about, ways again that you can just show up and practice saying yes in your relationship with your partner. We gave you 3 tools, 3 takeaways, so hopefully that's something that you can at least start to do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, let us know kind of how that's going. If there's one thing that you take away today, it's knowing that love isn't about, again, the big yes at the altar. It's not about, the wedding date or the wedding dress or any of that stuff. It's really about the little yeses that you say every day after that day, right? The little yeses that you say to patience, to grace, and to just showing up and to wanna show up as your best self every day.
Exactly. Nobody said forever was built in a day, right? There are micro steps that need to be taken to remain in that space. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So remembering to make coffee, remembering to book a movie periodically, or to buy her favorite wine and
Mhm.
chocolates
Mm.
will take you a long way, right?
Most definitely. So as you head into your week, I want you to ask yourself, or we want you to ask yourself, what's one small way I can say yes again today, right? To yourself. How are you going to say yes again to yourself? How are you going to say yes again to love? How are you going to say yes again to connection?
Well, it might be roses.
It might be.
My baby like
Oh, I
roses.
love roses.
Not two, not three, but a dozen. Red, brilliant roses.
You should know. Well, thank you for joining us on this Saying Yes Again podcast
Yes.
episode. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. Let us know what you think about the episode. Don't forget to subscribe as well on your favorite podcast platform so that you don't miss what's coming next.
Exactly. Because our mission is to grow our community. And if you're able to benefit from any one of our episodes or our podcasts, we'd like for someone else to be able to benefit just like you did.
Absolutely.
Right? So as Lisa indicated, by subscribing, that continues to allow us to grow our podcast, but also mention it to someone else.
Yeah.
Right?
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Until next time, keep saying yes again to love, life, and second chances.
Yes.